ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ शान्ति 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 Namaste, my dear friends. Today I am giving this video about a great modern sage, but having the ancient fame, Swami Sukhdasji Maharaj. He used to say, "Hey Nath, मैं आपको भूलो नहीं." He was the embodiment of renunciation. I have visited myself for continuously around 10-12 years and listened his discourses. Swami Ram Sukdas ji has served the cause of Hinduism, and he has written hundreds and hundreds of valuable books on Hindu and Hindu religion. He has served Gita Press, Gorakhpur, a premium institution of custodian of Hinduism. I will give another video on Gorakhpur seat, Goindka and Bhai Podar. Separately I will give videos, but today I am giving this video on Swami Ram Sukdas ji. So he used to say, "Oh God, I do not forget you." Swami Ram Sukhdasji Maharaj was born in a small village, Madhpura, in the Nagaur district of Rajasthan in Vikram Samvat 1960, that is 1904 AD in the Vedic calendar month of Falgun. In the young age of just 4 years, his mother made him an ascetic sadhu, fulfilling the completely renunciate duties of an ascetic. He stayed on this earth for an age of approximately 102 years, and throughout his life he went from village to village and city to city and kept pouring the nectar of satsang. He lived his life on bhiksha and continued his mansa vacha karma duty towards humankind till his last days without hoping to get anything in return. Prime objective of his life was to deliver the divine message of Gita to people for the welfare of them. He has written the commentary on Bhagavad Gita, and that holy book is known as Sanjeevani Sadhak Gita. This is a very illustrative and real translation and commentary about Bhagavad Gita. Every Hindu must read this book. You will find Bhakti Yoga, Karam Yoga, and Gyan Yoga in a most illustrative way. Swami Ram Sukdas was giving equal importance to Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. But what I found from his discourses, he was in a very subtle way a Jnana Yogi, like Maharishi Ramana, Ramakrishna Paramahansa, and Swami Vivekananda. I have not seen Ramakrishna Paramahansa, Maharishi Ramana, but I have seen Swami Ram Sukdas, not different from them in any way. I listened his discourses because prior to that I was reading books of Paramahansa Ramakrishna Vivekananda, and afterward I started reading about Maharishi Ramana, and then I also started reading books on Bhavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. These are the modern sages of India, and they have served Hinduism in a most unique way. So, Swami Ram Sukdas was to deliver the divine message. His main objective of life was to deliver the divine message of Gita to people for the welfare of them. He stayed away from tasks such as being photographed, getting his feet touched, making disciples, accepting gifts or donations, accumulating money or things, etc., building ashrams, monasteries, making cults, etc. So, neither he established any personal relationship with any person or organization, cult, monastery, etc., nor did he appoint anyone as his disciple, propagator, or successor. He discovered many revolutionary, novel, and remarkable methods and spread them across the masses through his discourses and articles, without insisting upon any opinion, argument, cult, etc. He propagated only that which was his own experience. He explained the deep, complicated, and the most eminent subjects of the spiritual path to the common man in an extremely simple manner so that an average literate man too can easily understand them and can apply them in his life. Swami Maharaj's commentary on Gita, Sadhak Sanjeevani, an unprecedented commentary on Srimad Bhagavad Gita by Swamiji, be an outstanding gift to the world. He also authored several unparalleled texts such as Gita Darpan, Gita Prabodhini, Sadhan Sudha Sindhu, etc. Sadhan. The lessons from the books leave an immutable, irrevocable impression on the readers as these are not dependent on just scholarly writings but are based on experience rather than learning. This glorious personage of the world disappeared on June 3rd, 2005, Ashad Krishna 12 Vikram Samvat 2062 on the banks of Ganga Gita Bhavan Swargasram Rishikesh. Swami Ram Sukhdasji, before he took Mahasamadhi, that means before he took his last breath, he made a will. Swami Ram Sukhdasji's will reads like this: It is only due to the extreme grace of Almighty God that the soul acquires a human body. Its only purpose is attaining God, but after obtaining this body, human beings tend to forget his original purpose and gets firm attached to the body and starts believing its bodily pleasures as being ultimate. By giving power and importance to the body, he starts relating to it and hence is so attached to it that its name too becomes dear to him. Of all the bodily pleasures, the most menial in is respect seeking to attain this. He also indulges in vices like falsehood, cunningness, and dishonesty. Due to the love for his body, he desires its praise and compliments from others. He desires to seek itself praise throughout his life and wishes that after his death his praise and compliments from others. He desires to seek self-praise throughout his life and wishes that after his death his name and fame remains eternal. He tends to forget that the name given to this body for worldly convenience does not have any existence whatsoever after the body perishes. In light of this, body worshipping, respect seeking, and externity of name is of least importance, but due to widespread inner desire for bodily respect and eternity of name and fame, human behave in such a manner not only with himself and his near and dear ones, but also with those who are the knowledgeable and thus following the righteous path shown by the esteemed scholars and scriptures trying to attain their ultimate goal of being one with the Almighty. What more can be said when the body of such an enlightened one dies? But in order to continue their remembrance, their body is captured in pictures and with all the pomp and decorations, garlands, etc. The body is taken to the cremation ground. In order to immortalize the mortal name, they erect edifices like structures in the form of memorials. In addition to this, they write exaggerated and one-sided incident of the deceased being and publish them in the form of biographies and remembrances. On one side, they call themselves followers of the enlightened one, and on the other, do exactly the thing that he dated in life. The essence of belief is immortal, hence the belief must be on the principle and words of such enlightened one and not on mortal body or name. There is only one desire and not belief in the mortal body and name, but such misdeeds happen only when desires take the garb of beliefs. Hence, giving undue importance to mortal bodies and the debtoring to worship and praise that eternal, immortal, divine, and immaculate Almighty being not only make our life useless, but is also is a great ditching of self. If seen in its true perspective, this body is only a machine producing urine and excretion. Given the best of foods or even prasad of God, it shall leave the body through excretion, and given the best of drinks or even water of holy Ganges, the same will be passed out as urine. This body is excretion and urine producing machine till the time there is life, and once the death prevails, even touching it requires bathing. In reality, this body is dying every moment. The real and authentic consciousness which is present in the body cannot be captured in pictures. Only the body that is decaying every second can be pictured. That's why the body also does not remain the same as it was while the picture was taken. Hence, worship of photograph is worship of asat, that which is not there in the photograph of the body remains lifeless. So, the picture of this lifeless collection of bones and tissues is more lifeless than the dead body itself. Those whom we term as Mahatma, the enlightened one, are Mahatma because of their total renouncement of the bodily pleasures and not because of their attachment to it. They consider the body as excretory matter, hence showering respect over Mahatma's body is like respecting excretory matter. Is this right? If someone says that just like we worship God's photograph, what is wrong in worshipping a Mahatma's photograph? Then saying this is also not apt because God's body is divine and immortal, while that of the Mahatma is made of destructible and perishable matters that we call Panchatattva. God is omnipresent, hence He is there, present in the photograph also. But omnipresence other than body of Mahatma is due to omnipresence of the God Himself. God and encompasses all the Mahatmas. Hence, worship of God includes worshipping of all Mahatmas. Hindrance shall be created in worship of God if the body and photographs of Mahatmas are worshipped, and this is strictly against the very principles of Mahatma. A Mahatma has come to this world to guide the people of God and not towards himself. The one who guides the people to himself for worship is anti-God. In fact, a Mahatma is never limited to a body. Actual biography is the one which depicts factual matters, meaning which puts forth the good and bad facts, virtues, and vices of life in a most truthful way. Only the person himself can know the factual incidents of his life. Others shall only derive estimates about it as per their own intellect, and this is often not true. The biographies that are written nowadays more so hide the faults and vices and depicts only unwarranted virtues. Hence, they are actually not the factual, complete, and real depiction. In fact, where can we find a better biographical character sketch of any other than Maha Maryada Purushottam Sri Ram? Hence, his biography and character sketch must be heard and read, and our life must be molded and lived in accordance with it. We must try and live out life in accordance with advice and principles of those whom we consider as Mahatma. After thinking on the points mentioned earlier, I would like to humbly make a request to all my acquainted saints and good people. I have made the points on a personal level, meaning that I have prohibited my photographs, pictures, memorials, biographies, etc. The sole purpose of this article is to clearly state as to what shall be your duties towards this body at the time when I have become physically unfit and my body had finally rested. So these are the main features of his will. Number one, when this body becomes unfit to move around and in the opinion of doctors has no chance of revival, then it is to be taken to the source of holy Ganga. Do not use any medication at such time. Make use of only waters of holy Ganga and Tulsi during such period. Uninterrupted chant God's name and praises and let the holy scriptures like Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Sri Vishnu Sahasranama, Sri Ramcharitmanas, etc. be read and heard. Number two, when the body is dead, use only Gopi, Chandan and Tulsi Mala, not flowers, scents or gulal, etc. The body that is dead should be carried in mere cloth as per the saintly traditions and not on the vacanti made of wood, etc. The way that I have been prohibiting in my living days the feet touching, dandavat pranam, pre-karma, garlanding, chanting of my name, etc. Similarly, after my bodies dies, consider feet touching, dandavat pranam, pre-karma, garlanding, chanting my name, etc. as prohibited. I altogether condemn taking photographs of this body in its living, dead or last rites state. Number 3. In the event of its death in some other place or village, it is my hearty wish that my body be kept on a vehicle and brought to the source of holy Ganga and its light last rites be done there. In case due to some unavoidable reason it is not possible to do so, then in that city or village where the body became lifeless, in that same village toward the forest or a pathway that leads out of the city where cows etc. rest there in the presence of the sun during daytime, the last rites must be completed. When this body becomes still, there should not be no waiting for anyone after the last rites, only devotional songs and loud chanting of the Lord's name, divine name, repetition, nam, japa, etc. alone should be done, and the last rites must be completed with absolute simplicity. Number 4, during the last rites, all the utilitarian gods, clothes, shoes, etc. should be all be burnt with this body and the avastha, avasthi, things, books, kamandalu, etc. should not be kept in prayer room or in the form of remembrance at all. Rather, these must be put to use samanya. Fifth, the place where this body last rites are done, nothing should be created there in the form of memorial to the extent that I even object to you placing stones etc. in that spot. As the place was before the last rites, it should once again be the same after last rites. After the last rites, the ashes and all other avasthis things should be offered into Ganga. Neither Goshala, cow protection shed, school, Chitrashala, etc., or any service organization must not be found on my memory. While the body was living too, I have not encouraged and built any structures, building, etc. for me. And for this, I have not inspired any anyone either to do so. If any individual were anywhere shows a building as being created due to any inspiration from me, then consider that to be entirely false. Sixth, after this body becomes still, let there be no Satravin festival or a celebration. Satravi festival or a celebration, and during those days let there be no sweets, etc. Just as the sages and ascetics have been bringing bhiksha in front of me so far, in the same way they should continue to do so. If good householder out of their own will bring bhiksha daily meals, then that very same bhiksha should be accepted in which there are no sweets. If some ascetic and good families come from out of town, then in the arrangements and preparation of their food let there be no sweets, rather their meals too should be ordinary. Seventh, when this body becomes still, let there be no grief or gathering for mourning, etc. Rather, for 17 days, let there be satsang, singing the glories of the Lord and chanting of His divine name and divine name repetition, Bhagavat name japa, recitation of Gita, recitation of Ramcharitmanas, reading of saints' divine speeches, reading of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, etc. Only spiritual undertakings, adhyatmic Karte must be carried on during this period. In Sanatana Hindu Sanskriti, Hindu culture. During these days, these above kriyas are considered to be men. 8. When this body becomes still on the 17th day or any other occasion, if some gentleman wants to give money, clothes, etc., or anything as a gift, then it should not be taken. In other words, there should be no gifts accepted from anyone of any kind whatsoever. If someone says that we donate a certain amount to the temple, then consider this sort of thing to be useless. You must object and oppose this person. If a person sends any gift from some other place through anyone, then it must not be accepted at all. Rather, refuse it entirely. Not only must no gift be taken from anyone, but there should not also that alertness, that caution to give seats, rent, money, etc. to anyone.